What's good, my alpha brethren? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, men give a lot of glory and reverence to a lot of different people, a lot of different things, circumstances, or whatever for the success they've accomplished in their lives. And most men tend to, at some point, whether they have a relationship with God or not, tend to thank God. But every now and then, you will hear a man give God's glory to someone else. And most times, it's either his mother or his wife. Someone sent me a video on IG, man, about this guy. He's a pretty popular guy, man, and has a pretty huge following. But he's one of those women of the world relationship type guys. And the video was fairly disturbing to a man who understands the presence of God. If you want to hear a man give God's glory and reverence to his woman over and over again, then y'all stay tuned. Let's take a deep dive on this one. But first, let's elevate to a higher plane. Prepare for takeoff.
Chuck Diesel.
Now, am I saying that it's impossible for your woman to play a significant role in what it is that you're doing in your life? No, I tell you guys all the time, a woman's contribution to your solution must be restitution. And if that's the case, then you have no problem with that. Every woman in your life should be a contributor to your process. I have no problem with a man saying that. I have no problem with a man saying specifically what his wife contributed. But when you say something like, I don't know where I would be without my wife. I would not be the man I am without my wife. I wouldn't make it as far as I am. I wouldn't have made it as far as I have without my wife. I wouldn't be this without my wife. The sky wouldn't be blue without my wife. The rain wouldn't come in due season without my wife. When you give your wife this kind of glory, and you think about the fact that she hasn't even been in your life the entire time. So for you to say someone that you've been with somewhere between 1 and 10 years has had a greater effect on your life than God himself, then you are a man who is thinking from a feminine perspective. But I digress. Let's take a listen to this video, man, and we'll come back and chop it up. And again, this is not an episode of me bashing this young guy. What this is an episode of an OG, teaching a young pup about how his mindset can eventually damage him. Let's take a listen.
You know how many times I heard this statement from old heads that said, yeah, bro, marriage don't last. Yeah, don't get married too soon, bro, because... And they weren't saying it, they weren't saying it in a loving manner. Like, let me help you out. They were saying it in a condescending, I hate this woman, I don't ever want to see her in my life type. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. That's how they were saying it. Scarred. Within context, they were scarred. They said, this is the worst decision I ever made in my life. I'm never getting married again. So, bro, please be careful. That's what they were saying. Do you know how damaging that is for us as men to hear statements like that in our younger years, especially when we're trying to build a family, when we're trying to open up emotionally, when we have a woman that we love and care about, and now you just told me don't get married too soon when I had intentions on my mind of possibly proposing to this girl and wanted to live my life, and now I'm nervous as hell. So for the ladies that's listening to this right now, just know a lot of times we hear information from old heads that say don't get married, or they scare the hell out of us of putting a ring on your finger, because they're making it seem as if it's the worst mistake we could possibly make. And how many times did you hear that statement, man?
Too many.
I heard it many times. And I actually asked old heads, yo, you was married before? Yeah, I was married before. Man, let me tell you, that's exactly how they start. Dog, that's not cool. And that's another statement that can be so damaging to us emotionally. We got to be mindful of that. Yo, getting married at a younger age was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I don't even know where I would be without my wife. That's like that's my partner. That's my business partner. That's my life partner. That's my best friend. That's somebody that I can talk to, I can confide to. That's somebody who has my back. I wouldn't have been able to even build to be the man that I am today without her. Of course, my mother, but then my wife is right here and she built like, dude, it's like, that's my secret weapon. And I told people this on many occasions. I don't hide that. It's my secret weapon. It keeps me grounded. It keeps me disciplined. It keeps me determined. It keeps me wanting to chase down every single thing that I possibly can because I need to feed my family. It gives me purpose, right? It gives me a reason to go out here and work this hard to build Jumping Jack Tax to be the greatest company in the world. I'm doing that because of my wife, my family. That's why it gave me purpose. If it wasn't for that, let me tell you, if I was 26 years old right now in the same position that I'm currently in and I wasn't married, I don't even think I would even want to know what type of dude that I would be right now. When they talk about the term savage, before I met her, a lot of women that probably watched this video, they know who I was. I wasn't a good guy. I was definitely the dude that hit and dash. You feel me? I was that guy. So now you talking about with more access at 26? Man. So I don't even want to know. I probably would have damaged a lot of women. And honestly, I may not even have, I know I would not have been where I am today. I know I would not have. Not at this level. I would have been somewhere, but not at this level.
Too many distractions.
Too many distractions, bro.
Now, when you hear something like this, your first inclination is to say, well, maybe he found the one. Yeah, that's true. You could say that. But the bottom line is, there is no one. There is no woman who is God. When a man says this is the one, he's saying this is the one woman who is above all other women, who is not like other women, who is on a level that other women could not ascertain. And the truth of the matter is this: even if you have a woman like that, she is simply a gift from God. So all the glory must always fall back to God. Now, the young old guys who told him, hey man, don't get married too soon, and marriage isn't this, and it doesn't last, and blah, blah, blah. This guy says he's 26 years old. At 26, man, you're too damn young to disagree with those guys. When you get their age and you're still married to this same woman, then you can say something. In the meantime, what you're doing is living in a fantasy world and truly causing yourself to believe that the relationship you're in won't end like theirs did. But the fact of the matter is that the divorce rate is very high in the United States. And there's a 50-50 chance that your marriage is going to end in divorce, that your marriage isn't going to last. Could you possibly be in the 50% that does? Yes, you could. But don't look at what these guys say and act like it's just the end of the world. You know the statistics. You're the young guy that's in a generation that's all about statistics and all about numbers and knowing what's going on in the world. The same way you feel like those guys shouldn't be telling you that, marriage is this bad thing. You shouldn't be just out here just preaching that marriage is this wonderful thing. Any type of relationship where you're with a woman, man, it takes work. It takes a lot of work. And maybe some of those older guys weren't willing to put in the type of work that it takes to lead and guide your woman, but neither are you. Sounds to me like a man who's in a 50-50 relationship. All 50-50 relationships are wonderful if that's what you're looking for. But as men, we should not be looking for that. So again, I'm not saying your wife can't be a contributor to what you're doing. She better be a contributor if you call her your wife. But the bottom line is this: when you say that nothing you have would be the way it is without your wife, that may be true. Maybe she was the missing piece to your life. But you can't give her the glory for that. That missing piece to your life was presented to you as a gift from God, young homie. You can never forget that. And the crazy thing is, your woman won't mind you giving God's glory to her. She just wants to be validated. But as a man, an OG to you, I'm telling you, man, you have to keep everything in a proper perspective and only give glory to God. No one else deserves glory in your life. And when you get 50 and you're still with that woman, you're 26 now. Let's say you make 50 with that woman. Then you can start telling people marriage is a successful thing. Marriage can work. But don't you tell anyone that at 26, man, I guarantee you ain't even been married 10 years. You're 26, 10 years ago, you were 16. You haven't even made it 10 years, bro. So you are the one who needs to slow your roll and stop putting that out there like that. Because yes, I can guarantee you that those older guys who are telling you that, they thought the same thing you thought early on in their marriage. Man, this is a wonderful thing. So when a guy, listen to the tone of a guy's voice when he says, man, marriage doesn't last, man. You know, it just doesn't last. It's not going to end the way you think it's going to end, young brother. That's a man who thought what you think right now. He had the same mindset that this is going to be a forever thing, man. Forever, my lady. That's what he thought. And that's the same thing you think right now. And that's cool, man. Anything you're involved in, have that positive outlook on it. But don't sit here and worship the ground your woman walks on and not mention God one time and all of the things that you give her reverence for, that you give her the glory for, that you say that, you know, they wouldn't happen without her. No, she wouldn't have happened without God. And then when you add into it that, well, besides, well, with my mother, you're giving all the glory in your life to two women. That means that you have had no strong, positive, masculine force in your life. You have had no men in your life to guide you in a masculine mindset. So yes, your mindset is still the mindset of a little boy who loves his mommy. It's easy for a young boy who has no love in his life but his mommy, who has no guidance in his life but his mommy, to then transition that same energy to his wife. And look at his wife like his mommy. Now, granted, if you started from ground zero with nothing, and that woman had input from the time you were broke to now, yes, that woman is your partner. But if you have built yourself up to level 8, and then she comes along and then you make it on up to level 10, that's not a partnership. That's someone who came on at the end, man, and gave you the little boost that you needed. It's like a team that makes it to the finals every year, but they lose the championship. The Buffalo Bills of the early 90s, they were a great team, made it to 4 straight Super Bowls, but they couldn't get over the hump. There's a piece that they were missing. That's the equivalent of what you're saying right now. If you have an amazing woman, what about the fact that you as a man deserve that amazing woman? What about the fact that you were in a place where God felt like you deserved to have that gift in your life? What do you think? Your woman is God? Because this is what the woman is God sounds like. Give your woman her just due for what she contributes. But don't you dare spread that energy out here to young men younger than you, that everything you are is because of your wife. That nothing you have would happen without her. Because you're pretty much looking God in his face and saying, God, you are irrelevant. This is my wife's doing. And that's the mindset of a man whose outlook is based on the validation of the women in his life. 10 years from now, I want you to be making these same type of videos. 15, 20 years from now, I want you to be making these same type of videos. When you get a double up and you're 52 years old, I want you to make these same types of videos that you make now. Then we can look and say, hey, yo, this guy has a successful marriage. In the meantime, your marriage is like a baby who's just starting to walk but can't take steps unless he's holding on to something. When your marriage starts to take off and walk, then talk to us. When it starts to run, when your marriage is playing sports, when your marriage is driving, when your marriage is an adult having its own family, then talk to us about how glorious it is. Right now, it's too new and you're too young to act as if those guys who probably live twice as long as you or more are wrong about their assessment. They are telling you about the end result of something you are just beginning. And I promise you, they felt like you feel right now in the beginning of their marriage. Focus more on keeping your eye on your wife and making sure that she doesn't change. Because the problem with guys who look at their wife like she's perfect, they don't look at her and make her continue to work to receive all the glory and accolades that they're giving her. And so it gets to a point where you become Dr. Dre And Dr. Dre's money is much longer than yours. And you know what? His wife is saying the same thing. He wouldn't have made it without me. And he didn't even come out and say it like you're saying it. You're young now. Your wife is young now. She hadn't hit that wall yet. She doesn't look at her life and say, well, what things can I fulfill before I'm actually too old to fulfill them? You got a lot of obstacles coming that you got to navigate through in your marriage, and you're going to have to take a more masculine mindset in order to navigate those things properly. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hear what you men have to say. I'm out.